Hello everyone, welcome to the Ella Aquarella channel. Today I'll be doing a product review of two student grade watercolor paints. One is Schmincke Akademie watercolor and the other is Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors. So I actually posted another video earlier about my trip to Munich in Germany that I did last week, and I actually got these Schmincke watercolor paint set, which is beautiful. I love the tin and the design on the tin. And I just did a little product haul on all the materials that I bought in Germany. After I came back from Germany, I was told by a friend that there was an art supply store that's closing here in New York, and they had everything 70% off. So I had to go to this place, even though I have so many art supplies already. I thought I had to go and see what they had. And they actually had this Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor travel bag. It's like really old. So that store has been around for a long, long time, like, I don't know, 50 years or something or more. And they had a lot of old stuff laying around that they just wanted to get rid of before closing down the store. And I found this on a shelf, in the bottom of a shelf. It was dusty and old. I think it's from probably the early 2000s or late 1990s, because I looked at this same set online on Amazon, and it has different graphics. And there's a booklet inside, and the date is 1997. So it's probably after 1997, but still, it's pretty old. I think this Cotman set that comes inside is the same paints they sell nowadays. They still sell this set, so I think it's fair enough to review it, because I don't think the paints have changed, and also the actual box that they come in hasn't changed. So it's basically just the graphics, and the bag hasn't changed either. So they sell basically the same bag right now. You can find it on Amazon. So this was a steal. I think their price was something like, I think the price is here $87.50, and it was 70% off. So I got it for like $28 or something, which is crazy for all this stuff. So I'm just gonna open it up so you can see it. It hasn't changed much from the one that they sell nowadays. Again, the front of the pack, the graphics have changed, but the actual contents inside are the same. I saw other reviews on the new one, and it's basically the same thing, but I'll show you what this looks like. So it's a very nice bag. It actually turns into a fanny pack of some sort. I don't know if I'm gonna use it as a fanny pack, but it's pretty cool. You can put it over your shoulder too if you don't wanna use it as a fanny pack. And the inside has this really nice compartments. It's very well thought out. Everything you need to go watercolor painting. It has a water bottle. It has two brushes, Cotman brushes. I actually have these two brushes that I bought a long time ago, the same ones, and they work really well. They're synthetic, but they do a great job for a student grade especially. And then it has this water container, which is like a plastic, I don't know, plastic bag that folds up, and you can put water inside. That's pretty cool. I think that's super creative. I haven't used it yet, but yeah, I may give it a try when I go outdoors at some point. And then they include a pencil in here, a 2B pencil, and you can put additional stuff in these pockets. So there's like plenty of space to put additional brushes, additional paint brushes or pencils. It brings a kneaded eraser as well, which is the best type of eraser to use with watercolor paper, I think. It's like a kneaded eraser. Because the set is so old, it is really dry, so I don't think you can use it anymore. But I mean, that's the only thing that's not usable from this set, even though it's probably like 20 years old or something, which is pretty good, right? So it means it's durable. Everything else is durable except the kneaded eraser. So this piece actually detaches, and you can take it as a little kind of, extra bag on the side. And then it includes a watercolor hits, tips, and techniques booklet. So that's pretty cool. It talks about palettes, landscape painting, like a little bit of color theory. It has some exercises, I think. Talks about brushes, how to do marbling, I guess. And they talk about their other products, not just these. So this is where I'm saying that it says 1997, because it's probably been sitting in that store since like at least 1997 or later. But so yeah, this is pretty awesome. I'm so excited I found this at such a good price. And it has another compartment, and it has a Winsor & Newton watercolor box, travel watercolor box, and it has a watercolor pad, a Cotman watercolor pad, 12 sheets, mold made, cold press, acid free. Looks really good. The texture looks really good. So that's nice. I'll probably save that when I'm done with my other sketchbooks, and I'll use it. The paper looks in great shape. Paper lasts forever, so I can always use that. And it brings a Cotman watercolor chart with all the colors of the Cotman range and their, I guess, item number. And then it has a exercise here, kind of like painting a landscape. So you can use that to practice. So that's pretty cool. But what I really want to review in this video is this box. Because I have been hearing so much about this Cotman watercolors. I've actually never used Cotman watercolors, if you can believe that. I've been watercolor painting for a few years, and I just have never like bought them. Like, I don't know, I just haven't, even though they're everywhere. Maybe that's why I never purchased them, because they're everywhere and I wanted to try something different. So I have all kinds of artist grade watercolor paints, and I have all kinds of like student grade watercolor paints, but I just never tried this one. So I decided, since when I went to Germany, I bought the student grade Schmincke, and now I happen to get the student grade Winsor & Newton Cotman because of that store that was closing. I decided it would be a great time to do a review on these two and compare them, because they're about the same quality. They're the student grade equivalents of their better known, right, artist grade ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open these up and show you what's inside, and then I'm going to swatch some of these and compare, and maybe I'll do a painting to compare. So let's compare the colors. So the Academy brings 12 colors, yes, and then this Cotman watercolor set brings 14 colors. I'll probably put a link to Amazon in the description. This was 28 euros, I believe, and I bought it in Munich. I'll link the other video that I did, the product haul video, where I talk a little bit more about where I got this. It's hard to find in the US. I don't think I've ever seen it in an art store in the US or online, but in Europe they do sell them. So it's possible that you might be able to find it in Amazon Europe, so like some European country. Amazon might sell it. So they're about the same price range. The Cotmans do bring a couple of more colors, but it's a Chinese white, I think, here, which I'm probably never going to use. So I probably replace that with something else. And the Academy brings a black, which sometimes I use black, but less than other colors. So the Cotman half pans come wrapped in plastic, and then a paper kind of sleeve like this. I actually don't have any Winsor & Newton artist grade pans to compare these with, but I do have Schmincke professional paints that I can compare these with. So this is the yellow. If you notice, there's like little dark dots in there. I don't know if it's because it's really old and something happened, it's going bad, or the pigment didn't get mixed in properly. So that's interesting. Let me look at the other yellow, see if it... Oh, this one looks fine. This one doesn't have any weird dark dots. So as you can see, the Winsor and Newton ones are not poured into the pans. They're basically just little cakes that are placed inside. The pans for the Winsor and Newton do come with the color name and the number, which is very convenient because that way I don't have to write it with a Sharpie and to know what color it is. And they fit pretty well here, but they do move. I mean, there's nothing holding them in, so you know, you do that, they just fall off. So that's kind of annoying. So I might have to glue those with glue dots or something later. This box also has a little water container where you can put water in and wet your brush there. And it has a tray in the bottom, which is a little bit hard to get out, to be honest. Oh, there we go. So it has a tray, so it has more mixing area. It has quite a bit of mixing area. The tray comes off. I've noticed that, which is super annoying too. I don't love this box, to be honest. It's a nice plastic. It's a pretty nice plastic, and it's a good size. And it has 14 pans, but you can't really add any more pans to this. But the Schmincke one, it's metal. It has a lot more mixing area. And you can add 12 more pans, so you can hold 24 pans. So I think, yeah, this is a lot nicer in terms of at least just packaging, design, and durability of it is just a lot nicer. Given that they're similar price range, just packaging alone, I'm liking more the Schmincke. The Schmincke pans come wrapped in more of a foil or paper, like they have the paper sleeve on the outside, just like the Winsor and Newton do, but the inside wrapper is more of a kind of a foil paper. And they're poured. So if you can see the difference between, compare the same two colors. The Schmincke is a poured paint. They let it dry inside the pan. The Winsor and Newton is not poured. It's basically kind of like a cake that's just cut, kind of extruded in some sort of machine and cut into shape, and then they put it in there. So I like the poured pans better, personally. They don't fall off like these do. And it just, I don't know, it just looks nicer. Also, the Schmincke pans are a bit thicker plastic. If you can see the edge of that plastic is pretty thick. These pans are a bit thinner, which that could be a good or a bad thing. But overall, I'm so far, the packaging wise, the Schmincke looks a lot higher quality. We'll see when we test them out if that's the case. When we swatch them out, I'm going to swatch both and show you what that looks like. Just so you know, the Schmincke professional grade or like artist grade pans are exactly the same as these. They come poured just like that. And they have a very similar, so here I have, these are a couple of Schmincke artist grade pans that I also bought in Germany. They have slightly different, I guess, graphics. They must have changed their graphics at some point. So they come with again, like a foil and a paper sleeve. The foil for the Academy is different. It's like this darker color, and the foil for the professional is different. It doesn't have printed. And the inside of a pan, I'll show you. It's about the same. So this is professional, and this is Academy. I mean, they're poured. This looks very clean, by the way, but it doesn't have, oh, it does. So the product numbers on the back on the professional one are artist grade, and the product number is printed on the side for Academy, which is fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and open these up, like unwrap these, and then start swatching them out. I'm gonna pause the video and come back once I have unwrapped them all and I have my swatch cards ready. All right. All right, so I unwrapped all the pans and put them back in their place. For the Schmincke ones, I did write the color name and pigment on each one with a Sharpie because it didn't come with it. Overall, they look really nice. I actually had to redo this part of the video because I actually did a video of swatching them all out, but it took forever. And in the interest of time, I decided to redo this part of the video and just show you the finished swatches. But before I do that, I wanted to just make a couple of comments. In the Schmincke Akademie wrappers, they actually have a lot of interesting information. They have light fastness, opaqueness or transparency of the pigments. And they also have a little note that says, I don't know if you can see that, fine artist watercolors right there in the bottom, which I think is interesting because these are supposed to be student grade watercolors. And they have fine artist watercolors, which are the Schmincke Akademie, which are the ones that most people know. So I thought that was really interesting. I'm not sure why that's there. These are the Cotman ones. They have light fastness is in the form of letters, A or AA. This one is A, which is permanent. They call it permanency. So it's permanent or extremely permanent. This is permanent. And I just thought I would make those comments, thought it was interesting. So actually put these back. They look really nice. I mean, the Schmincke ones, as I said, they're poured, so they're kind of really, like, they were really shiny before I used them. And they looked a lot cleaner. But they both look really good. These are those swatches. So let's start with the Schmincke Akademie. I swatched out every color. I put their pigment number and the light fastness rating next to each color name. Up here is the legend for the light fastness. 5 stars is extremely light fast. 1 star is the least light fastest. Everything in between is in that range. So the more stars, the more light fast. And the Schmincke ones, there are a few with 5 stars, which are the black, English red, yellow ochre, and the cadmium red hue. So the earth tones basically and the cadmiums tend to be pretty light fast. They're also quite opaque, so you can see that the cadmium red is quite opaque when it's put in at full strength. So is the yellow ochre, but it's to be expected given the pigments. So overall, beautiful paints, super vibrant. In terms of the names, like this brilliant red, that's basically, I mean, it's a phthalo blue, PG7. In the Windsor and Newton, they have a PG7 too, and they call it Viridian. But it's actually, I mean, Viridian hue. It's actually a phthalo green, sorry, not phthalo blue, phthalo green. And then I did some color mixing charts. So some more cooler colors and warmer colors. We get nice vibrant oranges with the warm colors, a really nice purple with the cooler colors, nice greens. I did some mixing of gray tones or neutral tones. So because the Schmincke Akademie set doesn't bring a burnt sienna, which I thought was strange, because I believe they're, actually no, I'm looking at the professional grade set that I have. It actually has the exact same colors and it doesn't bring a burnt sienna, which I think is interesting. But I guess you can make one if you kind of make sepia and English red or something like that. But I tried to make a gray with your ultramarine and English red, which you get more of a purpley gray. I got a more neutral gray mixing the ultramarine and the sepia, really nice neutral gray. Then I mixed cadmium red with the brilliant green and carmine with permanent green. Also nice, like slightly warmer neutral colors. And then I mixed the purple with ultramarine and carmine, and I got more of a turquoisey. I was going for a turquoise, but it doesn't really look too much like turquoise, with Prussian blue and light lemon yellow. So overall, the mixes are very clean, not muddy at all, very transparent. The swatches are super brilliant. I did a wet on wet here, so I basically just wet the paper and put some dots of carmine and Prussian blue in there. If you compare this to the Winsor and Newton, which is right here in the bottom, the way they disperse is very similar. They disperse about the same, so pretty comparable. And then this is the Winsor and Newton swatches. These are the Winsor and Newton swatches. Again, it's 14 colors versus 12. Also very bright, super like vibrant colors, really beautiful colors. Some of these travel quite a bit. If you look at the alizarin and the burnt sienna and the purple lake, they do travel quite a bit. They disperse really well. The color mixing charts, you can get really nice oranges and purples, like deep purple here with the ultramarine and the cadmium pale hue. And the neutrals here, though, I had a bit more trouble getting a very neutral gray. I got this one mixing burnt sienna and ultramarine, which are very, the typical gray mix. And then I got more brown colors, mixing the greens and the reds and the purple with the yellow. And I got again, I was trying to go for a turquoise here. And I got a pretty nice turquoise. Overall, if you compare these to the Schmincke ones, the Schmincke look more transparent and cleaner in the mixes. I would have to test to see how well they layer. So I thought I would do a little painting with each one of these to test that out. But before I move forward, I wanted to just compare the Schmincke Akademie with the Schmincke artist grade. This paper, by the way, that I use to swatch these is Canson XL. It's a student grade paper for student grade paints, so I thought it would be appropriate. For the Schmincke aquarelle pans, I use different paper. I believe this is Strathmore. I don't like this paper at all, so the swatches didn't come out that great. But you can tell, considering that it's not the same paper, so it's not like a apples to apples comparison, but you can tell the vibrancy of them and the transparency is very similar. The professional versus the Akademie. They both look great. The color mixing that I did with the artist grade, which is on the top here, it looks less vibrant actually than the student grade, which I think is interesting. But look at the wet on wet, how different that is. I did it exactly the same way, just put clear water and then little drops of color. And look how well the Schmincke artist grade ones dispersed. I mean, it's crazy how the difference between each one. That was what I found to be the biggest difference between these two. So probably maybe the student grade ones have more filler and they disperse less. But the mixes that I did with the professional ones came out just as clean and transparent as the Akademie. These do layer amazing, like the Schmincke professional ones, or the artist grade ones layer great. And they come out really vibrant once you layer them. So I am curious to see how the Akademie ones do when you painting an actual painting and how they layer. So what I'm going to do is I kind of just made a couple of sketches here of some succulents. Just to show you the reference photo, I took this photo at the New York Botanical Gardens. I took these myself, so there are no copyright issues. This is one succulent, and then this is the other succulent that I'm planning to paint. So I'm going to paint these and then show you the comparison. I'm going to paint one with Schmincke and one with Winsor and Newton. Okay? I'm going to pause the video and then I might do a time lapse of the painting. This is not a step-by-step tutorial, so I'm not going to explain how I'm going to do it, but I'm just going to show you really quick how I painted these. So I'm done painting both little succulents here. The one on the left is the Schmincke, and the one on the right is the Cotman paints. I have to say they're very comparable. I did 3 layers of paint for each one of these paintings. I used Aqua B 100% cotton watercolor paper for both, and I used a Mimic round synthetic brush from Jerry's to paint both. So I used same paint, same brush, same paper, different paints, similar subjects, same amount of layers. And I used Faber-Castell Pitt artist pens to kind of do a little bit of inking at the end to give it some definition. These are rough, like quick watercolor paintings, so they're not very detailed, but you can tell, at least it helps me to tell how well these paints layer and mix together. They actually layered great. They both were very, very, very comparable. Very similar experience, very similar vibrancy in both. You can tell, I mean, they're both similarly vibrant. And I used for the Cotman succulent, I used the Purple Lake a lot for the leaves with some of the lemon yellow mixed in to tone it down. For the gray here, I used ultramarine and burnt sienna. And then I used some burnt sienna cadmium red for the pot rim. In the Schmincke ones, I used a permanent green for the leaves. I toned it down with some, I should say I mixed a little bit of Indian yellow in there and toned it down with a little bit of cadmium red. For the stones, or kind of the darker parts here, I used sepia and ultramarine blue. And this dark is a little darker than this one. So it was easier to get a darker dark with the Schmincke because the sepia is a lot darker. Maybe if I had used ultramarine and burnt umber in this one, I could have gotten a darker dark. And then I used the English red mixed in with a little bit of ultramarine to tone it down for the rim of the pot. So as you can tell, I mean, they're both very, very comparable paints. I would recommend them both. They're a lot of fun to work with. They are both very affordable, a lot more affordable than the artist grade paints. A tin like this for Schmincke could run close to $100 US. And something like this for Winsor and Newton, probably the same. So these are a lot more affordable. I would say like 1/4 of the price of the artist grade. So, and they get the job done. They get beautiful results. And so if you're a student, I would recommend both. And I have to say though, if you can choose, if you're in a place that doesn't sell the Schmincke Akademie, and you have to buy the Cotman, that's perfectly fine. It is a little harder to get it, to kind of get the paint out of the pan, so you have to scrub a little harder. For Schmincke, the paint comes out a lot easier. So I would advise that if your budget is not an issue and you're in an area where the Schmincke Akademie are available, I would get this one just because of the fact that they're easier to lift from the pans. And the case is a lot nicer, it's a lot sturdier, it's metal, not plastic. It's just so like very beautiful design as well. So if you can spend a few bucks more, I would definitely go with these if you can afford them. If not, then the Winsor & Newton are perfectly fine. They paint just as well. They're beautiful. And the case is very conveniently sized as well. So it's a little bit more compact than the Schmincke and a bit less heavy. So that's my review for now. I hope you liked it. Please give me a thumbs up if you liked this review, and subscribe if you want to see more videos. Please leave your comments in the section below. I would love to hear if you have been able to try the Schmincke ones. If you're in an area where you have those, what do you think? I know a lot of people use the Cotmans. They're available everywhere. So those are, like, I would say the most popular ones. So if you have any comments, please let me know. I would love to hear it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.